Hello, I'm Kerry O'Shea Gorgone with Appfire, and this is the best project portfolio management show by Appfire. Today, we're going to address the question, do I have too many managers and not enough doers? And joining us is Andrea Fryrear, co-founder of AgileSherpas and a leading global authority on Agile Marketing. So if you've ever had this problem, stick around because we're going to talk about
it. Appfire Presents the best project portfolio management show by Appfire.
Andrea, thanks for joining. So why is it so important that you don't have like all managers and not enough doers if you're going to be agile?
Well, we've seen this problem cropping up more and more. The issue is that you have this layer of people who are interfacing with the business or having great ideas or otherwise trying to navigate the work, but then this much smaller nucleus of people that are actually able to execute work, that have skills and capabilities to get stuff done. And when you have too many people at that middle layer pushing a bunch of stuff down to that nucleus of people, they can't possibly manage it all. And so they end up spending way too much trying to navigate those incoming requests. Is this the most on fire thing? Is this the most urgent thing? How many status meetings do I have to go to this week? And so they burn a ton of time on managing those different relationships. And then they're also dealing with context switching, which is this nasty knowledge work problem where your brain is trying to jump back and forth to all kinds of different things. And every time you do it, you waste time and energy in jumping back and forth.
I heard about that. It effectively lowers your IQ, right?
Like, yeah, it does. It makes you
like stupider. Smoking a joint.
So it's not great. It's not great. And so when you have all those things together, none of the work is getting done. Like nothing's actually being produced.
So how can you tell then that that's the situation your organization's in? Like if you're the person who just wants to get work done, how can you figure out that this is a problem?
Yeah, I mean, the obvious symptoms are that people are working all the time and yet everything is still late, right? Nothing seems to hit its deadlines. People are sleeping under their desk kinds of situations. And if you find yourself saying, we just need another project manager to handle the process, let's just hire another PM or another something like that, because clearly the process is the problem. It might not be the process, right? It might be this imbalance, right, between the people who execute the work and the people who manage and decide what work needs to be done.
So then if you've got, I'm trying to think about how best to do this. If you've got a team of people who are working like crazy and maybe they're hesitant to complain about it for whatever reason, like company culture just doesn't like that, how can you actively look? Like what are some things you should be looking for? Is it just that things are late and yet everybody seems busy, or are there other ways to tell that like you need to slow down the filtering down and maybe get more people on board?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think people's calendars can be really revealing as well. If you can take a look at, we do this with teams that we coach a lot, like do a calendar audit with your team and don't make it a judgmental thing, but like make it a how can we help one another be more effective kind of conversation, and look at how much time they're spending in meetings that are not working meetings, right? It's not a brainstorming meeting. It's not a ideation or collect feedback. Like we're not really in this meeting to drive the work forward. We're just in this meeting to understand what's the work, who's it for, those kinds of informational meetings. If people are spending 80% of their time in those, then you've definitely got an issue.
It might be the best possible time to identify this issue, like when a company's about to go agile. I imagine you've walked in on that, right? Where they're like, hey, we want to go agile. Take a look at our team and let's make some teams.
Yes, that happens a ton where we look at the org chart and we say, great, let's build some cross-functional agile teams. And they're like, awesome, we think we need 5 because we have 5 business units that we support. We're like, cool. So you have 5 copywriters and you have 5 designers and you have 5 MarTech folks that can put that all where it needs to be. And they're like, well, no, we have 1 of all those people. You're like, okay, we're gonna have a challenge here. Let's figure out. And sometimes it has to be, we're going to hit pause and we're going to let you go hire lots of people before we can go, because one agile team serving this huge, universe of stakeholders, agile is not magic, right? It's not going to solve everything. You've got to have the right butts and seats.
A little prestidigitation there to make your
Mhm.
team scale. So in that situation, then I'm thinking about this just from a supporting your workers standpoint. We're seeing people leave jobs in like incredible numbers.
Yeah.
And I have to think part of it is stuff like this, where they're working like crazy, but they're still getting static, if you want to call it that, from above for things not being on time. And it's just mathematically not possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
how
think
can you support people then properly if you want to keep your best talent?
yeah, it's, psychological safety is a big, big deal in terms of making it okay for people to say these things. Like you need to be able to say, I don't have enough time in the day. I'm working after hours. I feel overwhelmed. That conversation needs to be acceptable, which is very much a cultural thing. And again, there's some proactive things that managers can do as well and leaders can do to look at people's calendars, to ask these questions in one-on-ones and drive the conversation. Go to that maybe managerial layer and talk about how they're engaging with your people and whether you can create some space in people's days. And it's really surprising to me once you notice something, you see it everywhere kind of thing. Like if you say, hey, find blue cars, and then you see blue cars everywhere. I now see this everywhere in every org chart and client that I look at. It seems to be pretty pervasive. So chances are you've got this problem, whether you know it or not. Like go out and figure out ways to solve it, because otherwise, yeah, people will leave because they don't have to stick around for these things anymore.
What about reshuffling people? I think possibly part of the reason nobody wants to admit there's a problem is because managers are like, that don't want to be fired or like let go or something. So are there ways to incorporate them in a more active role, or do you think people are resistant to that? Like, do they think management's like some kind of a promotion that's got prestige and they don't want to give it up? Like, how do we handle this?
Yeah, that's super fair. I do think trying to create maybe an alternative advancement path that's about being an awesome individual contributor, right? And some people shouldn't be managers. It's not in their aptitude, and it's honestly not what they like, but they feel like it's, like you said, it's a step up, and that's the only way that I climb the ladder, get higher salary, and all of those things. So if we say, no, you don't have to do that, you can still be paid really well, and you can still really enjoy your job as a great designer, as a great writer, as a great whatever, so that not everybody ends up stuck at that manager layer. Just as a way to show them that they're valued, we promote them, right? And but then there's a bunch of people up there who aren't doing anything. And there might be people up there who don't like it and would rather be spending more of their time actually kind of getting their hands dirty in one way or another. So bringing it up, yeah, and talking to people about it, because you're going to have to either bring them back, right, or even say down, right, back down into the doer level, or find another way to even things out.
Yeah, that must be ugly trying to reshuffle that. I was just thinking that can't be fun. And then for the doers, when you're first recruiting them, I imagine this would be a helpful thing to let them know at the beginning. It's like, hey, there's these multiple paths for your career that you can take. So as a brand, as a recruiter brand, hiring brand, I would think that would be helpful too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Help you
And it
attract
shows that
them.
you're progressive and forward thinking, right? And that there's multiple ways to succeed in the organization.
So there's ways to fix it. We don't need to despair. Andrea Fryrear, thanks for coming by. I really appreciate the information. And everyone, there's some fantastic material over on AgileSherpas.com. So follow Andrea, find out more information there. And of course, you can find more episodes of the best project portfolio management show at hub.appfire.com. See you next time.